Hello, beautiful, and welcome to my world. It is awesome to connect. Although, please know that I do know that that probably means it's because you feel like shit. Your hormones are probably misbehaving. Maybe you've got period problems, fertility problems, perimenopause problems. Maybe you just know your gut health is no good. And so that's why you found your way to my masterclass, the Have You Got the Guts to Be Healthy masterclass. So, in this presentation, I'm going to go over everything you need to know to get your body back. So I'm really passionate about women, and I'm really passionate about women having what they want. And for me, that is they want a banging body. They want loads of energy. They want loads of confidence. They want to feel sexy. They want to connect with their partners, and they want to have healthy, pain-free periods, and of course, cruise through perimenopause without any trauma. So before we get going, guys, I talk really fast, especially when I'm excited. So you kind of need to listen fast. And I know you guys are probably time poor. So I'm going to try and smash out as much information as possible in the shortest amount of time as possible. I have my own language. I'll probably muddle up words. Just go with it. So let's have a bit of fun and let's give you this information in its most lighthearted way as possible. I'm not down with the scientific jargon that's just going to make you head spin. Let's do it in a way that's going to help you feel your best. So, how this is going to work. So, one thing I want you to start by understanding is that I need you to start seeing things differently, because if what you're doing right now is working for you, well, you wouldn't be watching this masterclass. You would be feeling on top of the world. So I'm going to present things in a way that may challenge you or challenge your belief systems and show you new information. And that's great, right? Because if you want to start feeling different, you're going to have to probably start seeing things differently and doing things differently. So do I have your permission to coach you, to call you on your shit, to show you how to level up, and of course, to show you how you can work with me in the future? So what I'm talking about there is my body biohacking system. It is my bootcamp 12-week transformation. And it is basically all the steps, one after the other, step by step, on how that you can bring your body back into balance. It is the exact steps that I personally took in order to help me transform my body. I had to heal my gut. I had to lose 14 kilos, heal my cystic acne and chronic eczema, overcome PCOS, reverse early perimenopause, and learn to love myself again. So basically, let's get stuck into, though, the health of the gut microbiome. So the gut is like the most complex thing that you'll probably ever come across. You've probably heard it being referred to as the second brain, and that is because that lovely, healthy microbiome, being the beneficial bacteria in your gut, plays a huge role in every single system in your body. So let's have a look at that. It influences your blood pressure. It's linked to inflammation. It helps to detox chemicals and heavy metals from the body. It regulates inflammatory pathways. It's associated with your cognitive function, your memory, your focus. It breaks down food and it helps you to absorb your nutrients. It regulates the gut lining, preventing leaky gut. It balances gut motility to prevent constipation and diarrhea. It affects your cholesterol. It affects your hormone health, your neurotransmitter health. It aids in the breakdown of fat, your kidney, healthy vaginal microbiome, impacts your fertility, your urinary tract. I could go on and on and on, but it influences literally every single process in your body. Look at your adrenal hormones, your thyroid hormones, your insulin sensitivity. It's all to do with your immune system, your circulation. My God, collagen production, everything. I think you're starting to get the picture. We need it for our vitamin D absorption, for our joint pain. It's assists in anything and everything. Basically, it's a big deal. So here's a lovely Shah. She's undertaken one of the major steps of part of the boot camp and the Balance Babes approach to healing your gut. And as you can see by the photos there, if you're watching the screen, she lost all that extra kilos that she'd been struggling to lose for years post-pregnancy just by doing this simple process. So it works not only just for your health and your mood, but also for your body. It's absolutely linked with our metabolism and our ability to burn fat. So research indicates that those with a more diverse gut microbiome, that is a larger spectrum of healthy bugs in their gut, can more easily maintain a healthy weight compared to obese people who always have a compromised microbiome. So there's your first clue. So this is me, guys, before my gut health journey. If you can see, I am covered in chronic eczema. I had chronic eczema as a child, all through my teenage years. I had it even on my nipples. It was so embarrassing. It used to be so itchy, so I would scratch my nipples, and they would actually weep through my clothing, through my bra, and I would have these spots on my nipples, which was extremely embarrassing as a teenager. I kicked it for a little bit in my early 20s. And then unfortunately, because I didn't know any better, in my 20s, I went and had my travel vaccines, and the stress of the vaccines triggered me into a full-blown autoimmune response, being the eczema breakup, and it took me years and years and years. And I know that can be quite controversial. Not everyone wants to hear the role of vaccines, but unfortunately, it was too triggering from my nervous system because I didn't have a healthy gut microbiome. So this is why I had such a bad reaction. So that was a pretty traumatic part of my journey. On top of that, you can see, if you're looking at the screen again, I was 14 kilos heavier. I was extremely puffy, extremely inflamed. I had adrenal fatigue. I was completely addicted to sugar, which led to, of course, a candida overgrowth, which led to more sugar addiction. I was drinking too much alcohol all the time, and I was eating a diet that wasn't right for me. I was following a high protein diet because it's what everyone else was doing at the time, right? And getting all these great results, but it wasn't right for my body, for my microbiome, for my individual genetic thing. So that was my journey. But don't worry, this story has a happy ending. This is me after gut health. And I like to share these photos because these are obviously not photos I share publicly, but this is a glamour shoot that I had done for my 40th birthday. And I share this because this is my journey of overcoming, as you saw, the weight loss, the skin problems, the acne. But it's more than just a physical transformation. For me to even have the confidence to get in front of a camera was so, so scary. But it's something that I would never, ever, ever have dreamed of back in those early years when I was really in the deep, dark depths of, battling my health, that hormonal imbalanced hormones, the lack of self-love, the deep self-loathing that I was in for many, many years was such a big part of my story, which led to the depression, the anxiety, ending up in a really nasty relationship that was clearly wrong for me. But of course, I didn't have the self-worth to see all the red flags. And so I share these pictures as a celebration and as motivation for you to know that you don't have to be where you are right now. If you're not happy with your appearance, your health, your relationship, you can transform it all. And I'm going to show you how. And it all starts with your gut microbiome. So this is my journey. I, of course, did conceive naturally, which I was told that I never would be able to do because of the early onset perimenopause and because of also the PCOS. I started my dream business working alongside my best friend, married my soulmate, and of course, dropped all my body shame and all that body. So life certainly does look very, very different from me now. And it's because I undertook all the steps and did what I had to do with my gut microbiome. So you can see there, highly qualified to talk about this. I am a naturopath nutritionist. You can see there, follow me along on Balance Babes Official. I've written and published my own book. I'm a bit of a nerd and I love studying new things. You can see all the things I've studied that I've utilized over the last 18 years of my clinical experience in clinical, but also health coaching women as well outside of my clinic. So let's have a look at your gut health, okay? First of all, I want you to understand, do you have a family history of cancer or autoimmune? Now, I hate hitting you with those big guns, which can be quite scary, but the reality is, if you want to prevent an autoimmune condition and prevent cancer, your gut microbiome is the one common denominator. If you can have a healthy gut microbiome, you are far less likely to be diagnosed with either of those things. And especially for autoimmune conditions, they are far, 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 far more common in women than they are men. So this is why it's something that I'm so passionate about. There's something like over 200 different autoimmune conditions that they've now identified. And it's all about the immune system going wrong. It's all about, this mismanaged gut microbiome and overgrowth of baddies in there and not enough good bacteria in there. Okay, so do you currently experience bloating or gas? They're a common telltale sign that your gut microbiome is not happy. And then lastly, do you want to live as long as possible? Because I'm all about longevity, but most importantly, I'm all about living your best goddamn life. I'm all about loving every minute of your life, and your gut microbiome actually influences your mental health and your ability to even think positively. So it's a big deal. All right. So as I've probably already alluded to, is that your gut microbiome influences every single system in the body. Okay, so here's a list of some pretty common hormonal situations that you may already be experiencing at the moment that are directly linked back to your poor gut microbiome. Estrogen dominance, PCOS, endometriosis, menstrual irregularities, painful periods, PMS, PMDD, infertility, early onset menopause, unruly perimenopause symptoms, osteoarthritis, low libido, vaginal dryness, polycystic ovarian syndrome, insulin-related resistance, hormonal acne, miscarriages, pregnancy loss, pregnancy-related nausea, morning sickness, postpartum depression, gestational diabetes, and then we go on through the mental health check, anxiety, depression, brain fog, chronic stress, insomnia, dysregulated nervous system, migraines, Parkinson's disease, mood swings, OCD, bipolar. Of course, we know that the gut microbiome affects your digestive system. So irritable bowel syndrome, acid reflux, gut dysbiosis, Crohn's disease, food intolerances, ulcerative colitis, constipation, diarrhea, leaky gut syndrome. The list goes on and on. Okay. Now let's look at conditions that affect your metabolism and, of course, weight-related conditions. Okay, obesity, type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, unexplained weight loss, or weight gain. They're all linked back to your gut microbiome. Okay, autoimmune conditions, like the most common ones that women are hit with is Hashimoto's thyroidosis, multiple sclerosis, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, Graves' disease, psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, mast cell activation syndrome, fibromyalgia, and chronic fatigue syndrome. So you may already be identifying with some early stages of some of those things, and that's why you found your way to this masterclass. We could go on and on, but infections within the gut, Lyme disease, long COVID symptoms, recurrent yeast infections, recurrent colds and flus, it's all linked back to your gut. Your skin health is linked back to your gut. So talk about healthy aging, dark circles under your eyes, psoriasis, rosacea, brittle nails, eczema, allergies, histamine intolerance, anaphylaxis reactions, mold symptoms, chronic inflammation, eosinophilic esophagitis, like all these conditions that you probably didn't even know existed, but they're so common when you don't have a healthy gut microbiome. Okay, joint problems, neurological disorders, memory loss, neuropathy, seizures, brain inflammation, and of course, something that I'm really passionate about because I've been unfortunate to have lost my father and my sister to cancer. And if I knew what I knew now, back then, and I had been able to help these people implement the things that I now teach, I truly believe that their outcomes could have been very different. Breast cancer, ovarian cancer, stomach cancer, colorectal cancer, endometrial cancer. My father died of melanoma. They're so common and they affect so many families. And if we have a healthy gut microbiome, we can really overcome them. Sexual urinary health, okay, bacterial vaginosis, such a common one that I work with so many women with. It's all linked back to your gut microbiome or lack of healthy gut microbiome. So let's first start talking about things I like to call gut destroyers. Now, gut destroyers are things that we're all exposed to all day, every day, whether by choice or not by choice, that completely destroy the healthy gut microbiome, okay? Stress, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medications, xenoestrogens, oral contraceptives, antibiotics, fluoride, artificial colors, non-organic makeup, hand sanitizers, perfumes, herbicides, candida, processed foods, artificial sweeteners, cigarettes, vapes, microplastics, seed oils, vaccines, lack of sleep, and heavy metals. Now, put your hand up if you think you're avoiding all those, and high five to you if you are, because a lot of those things are not easy to avoid. They're environmental things that we don't often have control over. Sure, you can eat a perfect diet, but there's so many things that can affect us, and they will completely destroy your gut microbiome. Okay, so let's talk about the gut in a bit more detail. So the reason the gut is referred to as the second brain is because it houses the enteric nervous system. And this is a vast network of neurons that are embedded into the walls of the digestive tract. And this system's function independently of the brain and the spinal cord, which means it does its own beats to the beat of its own drum. It doesn't need instruction from the brain. And the enteric nervous system regulates your digestion, motility, so how fast we're moving food through your digestive system. It regulates enzyme secretions, which are essential for digestion and so many other things, as well as influencing your mood and your immune function, your metabolism, aka burning fat, and even your cognitive function. So this is all regulated by the vagus nerve. Now, the vagus nerve is the longest nerve in the human body. It's basically the main highway that is sending signals between the gut and the brain. It influences the parasympathetic nervous system. So if you're someone who is in constant fight and flight, your nervous system's dysregulated, which I'm going to say is a huge percentage of the population in this fast-paced life that we live, and especially in a huge percentage of the women that I work with. This is why they end up in the situation that they're in with, imbalanced hormones, brain fog, low energy, troubles with their periods and their hormones, because the nervous system is so dysregulated, meaning that we're dominated in our sympathetic nervous system, which means we're in this constant fight and flight response. And when you're in the fight and flight response, your body cannot relax into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is where we repair, we rest, and we digest, we sleep. Okay, most of us are so heightened all the time. And the vagus nerve also plays a really important role in modulating inflammation, maintaining homeostasis, which is like maintaining balance in your body. Things are constantly changing inside your system all day, every day, and your body needs to adapt and integrate change, or else we can get symptoms of low blood pressure, dizziness, and allergies, that lightheaded feeling when we're not integrating and adapting properly because our vagus nerve is lacking tone. So if you have a vagus nerve that is stressed from chronic stress, from even PTSD and trauma throughout your life, the vagus nerve can lose its tone, and it affects the parasympathetic nervous system, which will put you at a higher risk category of such as depression, anxiety disorders, cardiovascular disease, inflammatory conditions, gastrointestinal disorders, impaired stress recovery, cognitive impairments, metabolic disorders, endometriosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and so on. So basically, your gut is so, so, so important. I cannot stress how important it is for you to have a healthy gut in terms of the microbiome, but also a healthy functioning gut in terms of the brain and the nervous system, and the ability for that second gut, second brain, to communicate with the rest of your body. Okay. Other ways in which your gut and brain are connected is through neurotransmitters. 95% of your neurotransmitters, especially your serotonin and your dopamine and your GABA, are produced inside the gut. And so these are our lovely happy hormones that basically stimulate your mood, your happiness, your motivation, your ability to calm down, and especially things like concentration. Okay. Your immune system modulation takes place inside the gut as well. So these gut-derived neurotransmitters can modulate immune responses, leading to the release of cytokines that affect the brain function and behavior. And of course, again, that vagus nerve signaling neurotransmitters are produced in the gut can activate the vagal response by transmitting signals that influence the brain activity, mood, and behavior. So your gut is a big deal. I think you're beginning to get that picture. So first of all, I want you to just, if you feel safe to, and if you're not driving in the car, I want you to close down your eyes just for a moment. And I want you to just place your hands on your stomach, okay? And just close down your eyes. And I want you to begin to just slowly start to breathe very, very gradually through your nose. So this is an example of an activation that I do with my clients. And I do it in my boot camp coaching calls. And I do it also with my one-on-one clients, because it is a big part of connecting you back with your body and connecting you with your intuition. Energetically, your gut health is so intrinsically intertwined with your intuition. And so many of us women are so busy and so stressed out that we're completely disconnected from our intuition. So let's practice connecting. Just close down your eyes and just, as I said, breathe through your nose for just a second. It's about regaining trust with yourself. And I want you just to feel for a moment, what is your nervous system doing? Do you feel stressed? Do you feel wired? Do you feel strung out? Well, if you just continue to breathe slowly, deeply through your nose, in the nose, out the nose, for just a couple of minutes, it will completely regulate your nervous system. That's going to drop your nervous system into the parasympathetic nervous system, where we can rest and digest. And that is where we can make the most important decisions from. This is where your body, through your intuition, will start to whisper information to you about your health, your life, your passions, your purpose, and everything. And so just this simple exercise of connecting with your body, regulating the nervous system, activating your intuition, you will completely change your life and your health. All right? Open your eyes when you're ready. Stretch your arms out wide. Come back to me. Set the intention to keep listening. So let's go over now to some signs that you have poor gut health. I bet you can relate to a few of them. So bloating, gas and flatulence, diarrhea, constipation, heartburn, acid reflux, irritable bowel syndrome, frequent illnesses, as in getting coughs and colds regularly, acne, eczema, rashes, allergies and sensitivities, anxiety, depression, chronic fatigue, unexplained weight gain, sugar cravings, bad breath, joint pain, inflammation. Okay, who can relate to some of those? If you've got some of those things going on, it's likely that your gut health is already out of whack. And I'm, you know what? Like, I'm going to say 90% of the population's gut microbiome is not healthy and thriving. So don't worry, you're not alone. And this is a reason for why you're feeling the way you're feeling, though. So it's a good thing, right? We can fix it. We can fix everything. So just quickly, a case study. So this is my beautiful 33-year-old client who has chronic fatigue and MS. What you can see in front of the screen there is a copy of her comprehensive stool and digestion analysis test. Now, what you can see there specifically in those highlighted areas, she has 5 infections in her gut that should not be there. Okay, these infections are what are causing her chronic fatigue and her multiple sclerosis, which we know is an autoimmune condition. Okay, bad infections in the gut they mess up the inflammatory pathways and they cause huge problems within the body. Okay. Additionally, onto that, she had an overgrowth of the Enterococcus species. She had really, really low beneficial bacteria. So virtually no growth of all her bifidobacterium, very, very low growth of her lactobacillus species, another big major group. And so no wonder she was a hot mess and feeling like absolute crap. Okay. Not going to go into it in a lot of detail, but here's just some information on those specific infections that she has going on. They can cause bloating, diarrhea, constipation, abdominal cramps, but some of these infections can also be asymptomatic, especially in this lady's situation. She was really healthy because she's had the MS diagnosis for a while. She was taking really good care of her health. She was eating really well. And so she didn't have the typical digestive symptoms to let her know. So just know that you may be asymptomatic. You could have these bad infections in your gut in the background causing problems.
These are the shorts that I bought in Antarctica when I lost my luggage.
Like how much weight she's lost and she cannot believe it.
Look how low.
So Steph has undertaken the Balance Babes bootcamp program and all the gut microbiome hacks, and she's lost 10 kilos without even trying. That's pretty cool. Wouldn't it be really cool if weight loss was just a side effect that you had from balancing your gut microbiome, destroying those bad infections, healing at a cellular level? Like imagine if that was just a cool side effect. You weren't even trying. Okay. So let's go into that in a bit more detail while we're talking about weight loss. Let's talk about gut health and weight loss. Okay. There's so many connections there. So insulin resistance and metabolic implications occur when you have a mismanaged gut microbiome. Okay, so that can look like dysbiosis, has been linked to insulin resistance. So dysbiosis being the overgrowth of those bad bacteria. Some examples that I just showed you. Okay. The composition of gut bacteria affects how efficiently the body extracts energy from food, aka your metabolism, how we're breaking down food and burning energy, okay? And your gut microbiome will also influence the burning of brown fat. So some gut bacteria can influence the process of browning, which is white adipose tissue, converting it to more metabolically active form of fat that burns energy quickly. So you want to have a good metabolism, right? Okay, all comes back to your gut microbiome. In addition to this, your gut microbiome will impact on your appetite and your eating behavior. It affects inflammation, which we know inflammation affects the liver, and the liver is one of the major organs that influences our ability to burn fat. So we don't want inflammation. And then additionally, your gut microbiome will influence the storage of fat in the body. Okay, so another little case study here. This is our beautiful Haley, who is 37. She has chronic IBS and chronic anxiety. And again, you can see there, she's got a parasite, Blastocystis hominis, one of the most common parasites that you'll get. And she did have some digestive symptoms, so she knew something was wrong, which was what prompted us to do this testing. You can see there's another 3 infections going on in her gut that were playing absolute havoc, causing anxiety. This is right. Quite often, our anxiety isn't even ours, so to speak. It's not because we're a stress head. We can have these infections in our body that can cause anxiety. You can see also in that bottom section where we're looking at her beneficial bacteria, again, completely non-existent of those healthy bacteria that should be in there. Remember those functions of that healthy bacteria, sending signals to every organ, every system, influencing all elements of our health. Something's going to go wrong if you don't have a good growth of beneficial bacteria. This is just a breakdown there of some of those infections that she had in there. I won't go into those in big detail, but basically, when we look at your gut health and your hormones, big link here, okay? Your hormones are completely influenced by, in particular, this enzyme that's produced in the gut, beta-glucuronidase, and it's produced by the healthy gut bacteria, and its primary role is to help you break down estrogens. Now, if you're not breaking down estrogens properly, you're going to end up with estrogen dominance. Now, estrogen dominance looks and feels like painful periods, mood swings, painful breasts, heavy periods, weight gain, brain fog, okay? Estrogen dominance is what drives conditions like polycystic ovarian syndrome and endometriosis and adenomyosis. So we don't want estrogen dominance, okay? The process of your hormones, what you need to understand is, because a lot of people don't quite understand this, we're only producing hormones at different levels at different times of the month. The body produces the hormone. The hormone then is released by the gland, goes into the bloodstream, travels around the body, attaches to the receptors, which are throughout the body. So if we look at estrogen, for example, we've got lots of estrogen receptors inside the uterus, the cervix, around the ovaries. We've also got them in our brain, certain areas where we like to store fat around our hips and our butt and our thighs. So the hormone will go and attach to that. It'll bring about the beneficial, necessary hormonal changes that are meant to happen. Then when that's finished, it needs to detach from the receptor, go back into the bloodstream where the gut microbiome and our liver break them down and clear them out of your body, and then are eliminated from your body through our elimination channels: sweat, urination, bowel motions, lymphatics. So you can see your gut microbiome is so crucial for keeping hormones in balance through that natural, normal ebb and flow of our menstrual cycle. So dysbiosis, as in the buildup of those bad bacteria that we've been chatting about, is what will cause the destruction of the healthy bacteria, and the healthy bacteria then can't do its job if we don't have enough of it. On top of that, we know that progesterone is influenced by certain bacteria. It will impact the metabolism of progesterone, which of course we know progesterone affects our especially PMS, because it affects our mood and our behavior and our decision making. So it's a big one. Progesterone also enhances the growth of Lactobacillus reuteri, which is a really common gut microbiome bacterial species associated with reduction in depression and anxiety. So we know that women who have a low count of this Lactobacillus reuteri always lead to depression and anxiety. And we know that antibiotic use drastically affects the healthy microbiome and the hormone balance, leading to a higher risk of anxiety and depression. We also know that our gut microbiome specifically affects your thyroid health. So if you're someone that has Hashimoto's or an underactive thyroid, or you can't lose weight, you feel sensitive to the cold, your cycle might be longer or irregular, memory, concentration, brain fog issues, likely that you've got a thyroid problem that's being influenced by your microbiome. So studies have shown that individuals with hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's thyroiditis often exhibit reduced gut microbiome diversity. The microbiome is essential for absorption of key minerals required for the thyroid, so your iodine, selenium, and iron. Okay, you can't absorb these minerals if your gut microbiome isn't working properly. So it's really, really, really important one. So let's have a look at some classic mainstream things that you can do for your gut health. Now, In all honesty, you don't really even need me for this. You can jump on good old Google or ChatGPT and ask this question and they'll spit them out right there and there. So I'm making note of these because, yes, although they are warranted and necessary, they are such a small piece of the puzzle when it comes to you healing your gut microbiome. Okay, so yeah, we all know fermented foods, probiotic rich foods such as garlic, onions, leeks, asparagus, bananas, apples, dandelion greens, which are prebiotic foods, things like bone broth and collagen. We know that they're healing for the gut. We know that they feed the beneficial bacteria, and that's great. You want to eat a diet high in fiber-rich foods. You want to eat diet high in polyphenol-rich foods, which includes your green tea, your dark chocolate, your berries, your red grapes, because they nourish the gut bacteria. And you absolutely want to make sure you're getting plenty of healthy fats. So yeah, avocado, your olive oil, coconut oil, ghee, omega-3s from salmon and flax seeds, etc., because they reduce inflammation, which, if your body's inflamed, you're not going to have a healthy microbiome. Okay, beyond that, you really need to make sure that you're not consuming a lot of those gut damaging foods. It's going to be your sugar and your artificial sweeteners, avoiding processed foods and ultra refined foods, minimizing gluten and dairy, especially if you're sensitive. Gluten, I actually think that most people are sensitive, believe it or not. And you want to reduce things like alcohol and caffeine because they all kill your gut microbiome. You need to support your digestion. So that's going to be about chewing your food thoroughly, eating mindfully and avoiding overeating, timing your meals, staying hydrated, all these really common things. Drinking things like ginger tea, chamomile tea, peppermint tea with your meals as opposed to lots of water because it won't water down your digestive secretions. In addition to that, we need to obviously make sure that we're strengthening that gut-brain barrier function because it's so crucial for your digestion, your mood, immune function. And the way that we do that is, specific supplements that can affect that, can improve that, your omega-3s, your probiotics, your prebiotics, your polyphenols, antioxidants, things I've already just chatted about. You also need to heal the gut, okay? So bone broth, aloe vera and slippery elm, turmeric, they're all really potent anti-inflammatory gut healers, and they're going to be really, really beneficial for you on your gut healing journey. But again, it is one piece of the puzzle, and I'm going to get to the issues in a minute. Okay, you need to improve your sleep. You need to have a consistent sleep schedule. You need to be mindful of all that extra blue light they're all exposed to from our TV and our lights, which can absolutely suppress your melatonin. You need to create a relaxing night routine. You need to avoid late night binge eating because all these things affect your microbiome. Managing your stress levels is going to be a big one as well. So implementing nervous system regulation, things like meditation and breath work can be great. Spending time in nature, laughing and social connection, all these things impact the health of your gut microbiome. I get that can feel overwhelming because there's so many things that influence your gut microbiome. And this is why a step-by-step system like bootcamp can take the overwhelm out. Okay, on top of that, you've got to be doing moderate exercise. You've got to make sure you've got to avoid overtraining. You've got to limit unnecessary antibiotic use. Antibiotic use has its place, and if you have a life-threatening infection, by all means, you absolutely can use those, but they need to be used sparingly and not on repeat, or else you will completely destroy your gut microbiome. We also want you to switch to natural products in the home, reducing chemicals and cleaning, using natural skincare. So with all that being said, in all honesty, you probably already have heard all those things a million times before, right? Like they're not brain science. They're not rocket science. I think that's the thing. They're common things. Like I said, Google will have told you those things a million times, but most people are doing those things to some degree already and still have really bad microbiome, or still have an autoimmune conditions, or are still getting smashed with horrendous perimenopause or painful periods every single month. And it's because, like I said, those things are just one piece of a very complex product, okay? What most people who are talking about gut health aren't actually talking about is how crucial it is for you to regulate your nervous system as part of your gut building microbiome. I already explained before how a dysregulated nervous system affects the enteric nervous system and the vagus nerve. And so what that leads to is a poor gut microbiome, inflammation, anxiety, lack of coping mechanisms. So regulating the nervous system is so important, okay? And we can do this through toning the vagus nerve, different techniques and health hacks to calm the stress response, identifying food intolerances. If you're eating foods that you're intolerant to, that's going to trigger an inflammatory response and it's going to trigger nervous system hyperactivity. Okay, so we need to remove these triggers from your system. Okay, beyond the nervous system, we also need you to be working with your adrenal system. Okay, a lot of people have an activated adrenal system, which means they're in fight and flight all the time, or it can go one step further, especially if you've been in fight and flight for a long term, or if you've had chronic stress and PTSD, you might have adrenal fatigue. Okay, and when you've got adrenal fatigue, your energy's flat, your mood's flat, your cortisol's all over the place, your body's going to be more inflamed. Okay, so we need to have blood tests to look at and assess the adrenals. We need to clear emotional blocks and stresses from the life. We need to reverse the fatigue. And we also need to help you tap into your divine feminine energy to help you reconnect with your body. Remember what I said before about your brain-gut connection and tapping into your intuition? We need to train you how to do that so that it's part of your day-to-day process, that we're doing it automatically, so that you are making decisions day-to-day that are based on your highest good, what you need specifically, and not just being influenced by every second influencer on Instagram who's, potentially just promoting a product that they're getting paid for and doesn't even take it or work for them. Or, like I said, we're different. There's no one size fits all. And so if you can develop a connection with your body and your intuition, you will be your own healer. And that is something that I'm so passionate about, empowering in people as a pathway for healthy gut microbiome, connection with your intuition, your gut feelings. Okay. As part of rebuilding your gut microbiome and restoring your gut health, you need to be cleansing the colon. Most people have about 2 kilos of waste stored inside their colon. That ain't helping, okay? You need to destroy the infections, the bacterial overgrowth, the parasites, the SIBO, the candida, that goes on hand in hand with this biofilm. And biofilm becomes this yuck mess that basically surrounds these pathogens and prevents either it be antibiotics or natural antimicrobials from actually destroying them. Most people miss that step. You need to repair that leaky gut. You need to rebuild the microbiome. Okay, so it's not enough to just take probiotics. You've got to do all these other things that I've told you about. And you need to learn how to maintain your healthy gut microbiome. What people don't usually understand about a probiotic, it's a living organism. It's a living, healthy bacteria. So you can't just take it and then leave it up to its own devices. You've got to be feeding it with your prebiotic foods, and you've got to maintain a hospitable environment inside your gut that will allow that beneficial bacteria to keep living and reproducing and thriving inside you. You've got to feed it. So taking a probiotic is not all, and as I'm sure you're probably all aware, probiotics are expensive. So if you're taking them and putting them into a bad gut environment and not doing all the other supportive steps, you're just wasting your money. And a lot of people will take probiotics and feel really bloated from them. And that's a sure sign that you've got dysbiosis. Okay. On top of repairing your gut, you need to optimize your detoxification. You've got to make sure your liver detox pathways are working. You've got to get your liver working well, because that's going to be essential for balancing your hormones, because, as we already saw, your hormones affect your gut microbiome. It's a two-way street. Okay, you've got to make sure you're eliminating, as in your bowel motions, properly and fully and completely every day. You've also got to clear heavy metals. That's a big, big part of, autoimmune conditions, painful periods, poor gut health. And lastly, you've got to really upgrade your life, okay? It's got to be a holistic approach. You can't just put yourself on a probiotic and expect all your problems to go away. You can't even just do a parasite cleanse and expect all your problems to go away. You've got to be nailing nutrition for you as an individual, which means how I personally eat. I thrive off a vegetarian diet, but you might thrive off a keto diet or a carnivore diet or, something different again. It's about knowing your body with that step that I told you about, connecting with your intuition, but it's also about, genetics and testing and measuring, testing to see what food intolerance that you have, that we do through boot camp as well. It's about reducing your inflammation. It's about clearing limiting beliefs, right? We've all unfortunately been programmed with a whole lot of shitty beliefs from our upbringing, from society, not just in the home, from our parents. A lot of us don't even believe that we can heal. Unconsciously, like consciously, you might be like, hey, yeah, I'm ready to heal. But if you don't believe that you can heal, and this is where I use a technique called Psych-K with my clients. It is such a brilliant tool. It is so simple and so easy. And we basically reprogram your unconscious mind. Think of it like weeding the garden. If your unconscious mind has got a whole heap of weeds growing in the background, and when I say weeds, I'm talking about bad thoughts about yourself, bad beliefs about the world, bad beliefs about your health, they will hold you back. Because your unconscious mind, as we know, rules 90% of the show. which means it's influencing our decisions, whether we're consciously aware of it or not. It's influencing the decisions that we make, the actions that we take. And through the law of attraction, we are, we're emitting a vibration all day, every day based on our thoughts. And remember, if half those thoughts are unconscious, you're not even aware you're having them, we're quite often emitting a low vibration. And of course, the universe is going to reflect that back at us through the law of attraction. Okay? If you want to have a great mood, a great libido, balanced hormones, a happy period, you want to cruise through perimenopause with great gut health, you also need to believe it's possible, and you also need to be 100% confident and on top of your game. Okay? And we can do all this. We can't do it with just probiotic though. We've got to take a holistic approach. So here's some of the biggest mistakes a lot of people are making when they're attempting to fix their gut or heal their gut, okay? They're focusing only on, say, FODMAP and elimination diet. So we've all heard of the FODMAP diet. So many people want to fix their gut and they just go on that diet and that diet alone. And of course, taking out problematic food can reduce some of the symptoms, but you're not actually repairing anything, okay? They're not addressing the pathogens and the parasite overgrowth and the bad bacteria and the fungi and the candida. They're not feeding the good, healthy bacteria with prebiotics. They're not addressing the biofilm, which is that protective shield that is wrapped around the parasites that prevents them from, basically just makes them immune. Okay, they're not eliminating the mucoid plaque out of their body. A lot of people are taking probiotics incorrectly, which is completely wasting their money. And a lot of people are not repairing the communication between the brain and the gut through that vagus nerve and the enteric nervous system. And a lot of people are not addressing mold, heavy metals and fungi and parasites and viruses. A lot of people are obsessed with just candida and missing all the other ones. And a lot of people are not addressing the immune system, in particular allergies. People have got food intolerances and they don't even know they've got them because they haven't gone and had the proper testing done. Leaky gut's not being addressed. People are not using binders, so they're having horrific die-off effects and feeling absolutely awful. Brain fog, headaches, fatigue, getting coughs and colds and snotty noses when they start their parasite cleanse or their programs. And a lot of people are not addressing digestive function. So a lot of people have got this weakened digestive secretions and they're not doing anything about it. And so no wonder you go and take 1 or 2 products or implement a couple of food hacks based on that list I already read to you, or start getting good sleep, and you're wondering why nothing's happening, wondering why you're still feeling like death, wondering why you're still exhausted, you're not sleeping, you've got no libido, your periods are crap, your autoimmune conditions at its all-time flare. It's because you can see there are so many levels to it. And I get that as someone just watching it, it looks so complicated and so overwhelming. But when you just break it down step by step, it becomes a really, really easy process. So just another quick case study there. This is our 39-year-old with hormonal changes, weight gain, and lupus on her skin. Again, you can see secretory IgA, which is an immune defense in the gut, completely non-existent. We have a blastocystis hominis parasite infection that she did not know she had. Gets a bit of bloating, but the sort of bloating that a lot of us get, that's kind of just there in the background. It's not completely ruining your life, so you just kind of suck it up. She's also got all these other infections you can see there. So no wonder she ended up with another autoimmune condition, skin lupus, and all this weight gain. Look at all those infections in there, okay? And again, same picture. Look at all you can see little black dots over to the left side, non-existent healthy microbiome, okay? And if she had just taken probiotics alone, those baddies would have just gobbled them up and the goodies will just keep dying. So let's talk about how you do heal, okay? I know I've thrown a lot of information at you, but I want you to know there is light at the end of the tunnel. You can heal anything in your body, especially when it comes to your gut microbiome. You can reverse any autoimmune condition, okay? I'm living proof of that, okay? So this is how we do it, step by step, bit by bit. We're going to regulate your nervous system. We're going to eradicate the parasites, the pathogenic bacteria, and the candida. We're going to regulate your elimination and your bowel motions. We're going to eliminate the high viral load on your system. We're going to eliminate the allergens and inflammatory foods. We're going to break down the biofilm. We're going to modulate the immune system. We're going to manage and maintain the microbiome. Okay, remember the good beneficial bacteria. We're going to give it a healthy home to live in and thrive in. We're going to address your adrenals. We're going to bind toxins so that you don't get bad detox reactions. We're going to feed the microbiome. Okay, your prebiotics. We're going to align your diet with your genetic predisposition. We're going to assess your microbiome through a comprehensive stool and digestive analysis test, because otherwise you're just guessing. And without facts and a clear roadmap to follow, like I said, you look at those tests I showed, most women didn't know what was going on. And when we have those results, we can see exactly what you need. Okay, we're going to transplant healthy bacteria. We're going to align you with your intuition. We're going to cleanse your colon. We're going to stimulate your digestive secretions. We're going to detox heavy metals and mold antibodies. And most importantly, we're going to protect your energy by teaching you how to set boundaries. Okay, I'm not going to talk a lot about cancer because it's quite sad and doom and gloomy. But as I mentioned before, cancer is absolutely intrinsically linked to a poor gut microbiome. The good beneficial bacteria, like I said, it reduces inflammation. And we know that bad bacteria gives rise to immune dysfunction, which means the immune system loses the ability to flag precancerous cells. We know that toxins that are produced by bad bacteria can damage our DNA. There's certain strains like E. coli and these long-term chronic infections in our body that are just existing in the background that you don't know how. It's just completely messing your immune system, and it puts you at a higher risk for inflammation, weakened gut bacteria, weakened gut barrier, and so on. Okay, I don't like talking about the doom and gloom, but unfortunately we live in a world where cancer is on the rise, like dramatically on the rise. And I don't want you to be a statistic. When we can follow a system that is so simple and so easy to prevent chronic diseases, so you don't even have to be watching this masterclass with already a whole host of health problems. You might be sitting here already thriving and just wondering how you can do better. Prevention is such a big part of it, and prevention of chronic diseases is something that I just wish that we all had. There was more information out there and more foundational knowledge, through our schooling years, telling us to put an emphasis on this stuff, because it really, really is so easy to do, but we're just not doing it. And then sometimes when we're sick, it's too late. Okay. These cancers in particular, being colorectal cancer, liver cancer, breast cancer, pancreatic cancer, lung cancer, they're some of the big ones. They're the most common ones that there's science to back it up that they are specifically linked with a poor gut microbiome. Okay, so I want to just talk about briefly now the comprehensive digestion and stool analysis test. So you saw some of those results up on the screen. What this test does, now this test is a bit of an investment, but it is an investment into your health and your future. And I believe that every single person should have one of these tests done at least every 5 to 7 years, again, as prevention and flagging disease, in early stages. So it measures your enzyme levels, it measures your beneficial bacteria, it measures your imbalanced flora, as in the growth of the bad stuff. It measures for dysbiotic flora, so really nasty ones that cause autoimmune conditions, yeast and fungi, parasites, and even viruses, and pathogenic bacteria. So these are the harmful things that lead to the bad diseases in your body. Okay. You can see the price of a comprehensive stool analysis test is $530. You can only have these done through functional practitioners like naturopaths and so forth. They need to send referrals through to these labs. It'll measure your inflammatory markers, your immune function, stool characteristics. But guess what? I'm offering you one for free as part of the Bootcamp Body Biohacking System. So it's a really, really good deal. And again, it gives you the information for you to work from. Okay, so that's really, really epic thing to keep in mind. All right, so let's just have a quick chat about some lovely ladies who have done boot camp, and it's the body biohacking system. As I said, it's a step-by-step system that I personally put myself through to overcome polycystic ovarian syndrome, to reverse premature ovarian failure, to lose 14 kilos, to clear up my cystic acne, to clear up the chronic eczema, to get rid of the regular bloating and the depression, the hot flushes. Like, I had it all. I was a complete shit show, remember? And boot camp is how I fixed it. And so the lovely Nikki says that she loved the program. She loved the emotional evolution stuff. So keep in mind, the emotional evolution stuff is the connecting with your body and clearing the negative beliefs from your system and showing up consciously. She is now in complete remission of her Graves' disease. So this is the reason why she started boot camp, because she was diagnosed with Graves' disease, and we've got the all clear, which a couple of months after she finished boot camp, she had the retesting done and she's completely in remission. So that's pretty cool. Lisa said, I just wanted to let you know that I've had a huge change in my cycle, which I'm putting down to boot camp. I had no moodiness leading up to my period yesterday. I'm normally a total bitch for at least a week leading up to my bleed. Even the kids tell me that. I'm so happy. It was nice. It was nice to be a nice human this cycle. You're a white witch, but the best kind. Love you. Okay, so let me share a little bit more about boot camp, because like I said, I get that what I've shared so far is probably a little bit overwhelming, and that's okay. But I'm going to give you a step-by-step system. So what if I could give you 100% certainty and clarity on how you could feel and look and best and safeguard you against chronic disease? Because if I could guarantee you that this is like, I can guarantee you that boot camp works. If it doesn't, we just keep going until we nail it for you. Okay. I give you that guarantee when you work with something like boot camp, because the problem with a lot of women is they're just shooting in the dark and they're frustrated and they're trying things and they're not seeing it through completely, and then they end up going round and round in circles and then they don't get the results. So what we're doing with boot camp to address your gut health is we're addressing the root cause of everything. We're going to eliminate the cravings, the inflammation, the bloating, the fatigue. Okay. So I'm going to show you a system that could quite possibly change your life forever. Okay.
Good morning, friends. I wanted to hop on here to share my experience with Stacey and the Balanced Babes Bootcamp. Oh my gosh, what an experience. If you are sitting on the fence and you're looking for any reason to just move forward with this, that's why I'm here. I have implemented so many techniques and skill from the 8-week bootcamp into my everyday life with ease and grace. And it has been such an amazing journey. I'm doing liver detox shots in the morning. I've implemented coffee enemas, juicing, fasting, being aware of my patterns, learning skills and techniques to manage my emotions, better manage my relationships, and join in with a community that is looking to do the work, that is wanting to feel better, have better relationships, and just have a more optimal and fun life. And most importantly for me, I have not had to use painkillers for my menstrual cycle for 3 months now. And that is due to this 8-week boot camp and supplementation with Stacey and her guidance and her products. That is immense to not have to use painkillers. I've been having to do that for 30 years. So there's so many standouts. If you are looking and needing some assistance to make that breakthrough in your life, because I know what it feels like to feel like you have done absolutely everything and nothing is working or nothing seems to be working. This is something for you to catapult you into the next journey. And then it just keeps going on and on from there. I am a completely different person. And I am so grateful to Stacey and her skill set, her knowledge base, and her wisdom, and her support and friendship. I could not have done this without her. So I'm joining back in when it starts back up again.
Thank you, Mel. Bless your little soul. So Mel's a bootcamp success story. There's plenty of them. We have a huge, thriving community of women who have gone through bootcamp. Just to clarify, it is 12 weeks. Originally, when it first started, it was 8 weeks, but I just kept expanding in the value and just, like I said, I wanted to give you a system that we dot all the I's and cross all the T's. So this is why we extended it to the 12 weeks. So you can continue what you're doing. You can keep fumbling your way through trial and error and just, getting bits of information from random blogs or random influencers or random Google or random chat GPT prompts. Or you can just take it all in one big bite, step by step over the 12 weeks. So this 12 weeks is my lifetime's work. It is what took me 15 years of back and forth and tweaking and changing to master. And really, and I'm talking about the falling in love with myself. I'm talking about healing my gut microbiome. I'm talking about healing all the hormonal stuff that I had. You guys can do it in 12 weeks, or you can fumble along for another 15 years and then come back and find me because you realize doing it on your own just didn't quite work. It's common, guys. You're not alone. Okay. So Balanced Babe, the bootcamp biohacking system, it is the only way to get true certainty and fast track your results to experience your best health ever. Okay, do you want to do it in 15 years or do you want to do it in 12 weeks? It's up to you. How long are you prepared to wait for your gold standard gut health, your dream body, your vitality, and your clarity? Okay, Jen Van Ray dropped 2 kilos in the first 2 weeks of boot camp. And Pauline from Western Australia said, Stacey, I just want to say how much I love you. You've honestly given me a whole new lease on life. I never thought I would be able to get out of my slump. I feel like a new woman, and I'm so excited for what my life has to offer. You are just bloody amazing. Thank you. Oh, I love the babes. So this is just going to give you a rundown of what we cover in boot camp. It is a holistic approach. So we address the physical stuff, looking at your gut microbiome, your nutrition, cleansing, movement, hormone, liver, all the stuff, okay? We address the emotional element to your health, okay? Your connection to your feelings through self-love and self-acceptance and lots of these activations and guided healings and the group coaching calls. And then, of course, we do specific activations, connecting to your intuition, feminine embodiment, body awareness. And this is why bootcamp is so, so powerful, because it is a holistic approach in physical, spiritual, and emotional. Okay, Nikita lost 5 kilos in just 3 days with part of our colon cleanse process, which is pretty fucking cool. So bootcamp is a 12-week transformation, and it's the holistic answer to all your hormonal baggage and body shaming, okay? Imagine where you'll be in 12 weeks if you just got started today, okay? So again, just to reiterate the holistic nature of it, we're going to balance your hormones. We're going to give you thriving gut health. We're going to help you understand your genetics. We're going to regulate your nervous system. We're going to help you start living a low-tox life. We're going to help you surrender and deepen into self-love and self-acceptance, and we're going to connect you with your body, okay? When you have a clear system to follow and a healthy love for your body, anything is possible. I truly, truly believe that. So let's just have a quick look for those who are interested in boot camp. Boot camp is 3 months of group coaching. You're going to get the boot camp online education portal, which literally has 12 modules and hours upon hours of education that you have lifetime access to. You will get your one-on-one naturopathic assessment with me, where I'll deep dive into your health, and I will go over everything that's individual for you so we can fine-tune everything in a way that's meant for you. You're going to get your comprehensive stool analysis test that's valued at $530. You're going to get a private site case session with me that's valued at $250. And that's where I'm going to identify all those weeds, those limiting beliefs in your unconscious mind that's stopping you from having your ideal body, your perfect relationship, your perfect skin, whatever your goals are. And we're going to reprogram those. You get your Facebook support group, which is our community where you get to connect with all the other beautiful women, the emotional evolution system, your referral for blood tests, an expert interpretation of those. You get a printable program guide. You get your self-care supplement package. You get your parasite cleanse package. You get everything that you need for bootcamp. You do not need to spend barely any more money after. Of course, there may be some additional blood tests that you may like to get or stuff, but essentially you don't need to spend a cent beyond bootcamp. It is all there for you. It's worth a total value of almost $9,000. But I'm offering it to you for $2,222 because it is my lifetime's work. It is my passion. It is everything that I could ever hope for all women to live a thriving life. I do offer that on a 4-month payment plan if that works better for your lifestyle. But I've basically done everything possible to make doing bootcamp and healing your gut and healing your hormones as easy
as I have endometriosis. I've suffered from pain for 20 years. And I can confidently say that when I have done Stacey's program, that now I am pain-free. So I'm usually bedridden. There could be 3 weeks of the month where I'm in pain. And now, since I'm applying all of the content that I learn in this program, which I'm so thankful for, thank you for your life work, Stace. I align with everything that you teach. And since applying everything, I'm able to now live a life where I'm in control and I am pain-free again. So it's been quite a long time. So I do stress to people everywhere that we can heal ourselves. And this program itself, it is called the Hormone Healing system, but it's just a complete healing system. It's mind, body, and spirit. And I'm just so grateful. And I can't wait to keep doing it with all the other bootcamp babes furthermore. All right. Thank you, guys.
So guys, what I want to invite you to is, if you're on the fence about bootcamp and you're not sure, totally fine, get it. But I'm inviting you to join a free biohacking breakthrough session with me. Now here, I'm going to hear about your story and I'm going to map out step by step what you actually need to do. Because I know a lot of you will have this, because it's this culture, right? It's life, and it's going to be like, oh, what if it doesn't work for me? Or what if I can't do it because of this? What if I can't do this? Let's have a chat. Let's find out what are going to be the most essential biohacking steps for you in order to help you achieve all your health and well-being goals. So this is free, so you can book this. You'll get an email with a link for this, and I would love to help you. And if you do this, you're going to get a free DI roadmap. So nothing to pay. You don't have to enroll in bootcamp. Regardless, you will get this free DIY roadmap, which is going to be your step-by-step checklist of everything you as an individual need to do, that I can guarantee you, if you do, you will get the healing that you desire. So I know all the objections. Okay, I've already booked in lots socially for spring or summer or winter, and I just don't think I've got time. I don't have the money. I'm afraid to commit to the process. What if it doesn't work for me? We get it. Like, they're so common. Everyone's had those thoughts, but this is why I do all the emotional work through the program and reprogram those limiting beliefs. We've got the payment plan. I've mapped it out in a step-by-step process. Trust me, I love to drink wine on the weekends still, and I'm still maintaining my healthy weight. So boot camp isn't hard. There's lots involved, but it's not hard, and I promise you everyone can do it. So some of you may be thinking you want to work with me, but you need a higher level of support, and I do offer a one-on-one program. It's $6,000 to work for me one-on-one in a 4-month program. That's where you get to talk to me literally every day through WhatsApp. So that's another option as well. But whatever feels good for you, thank you so much for listening this far. I love you. And please just know that you can heal your body. So declare it to the universe. You're willing to see things differently. You're willing to try something different. And you believe that there is an answer to your problems. So even if you're not choosing to work with me or work with bootcamp, please know that you can heal. Please do not stop searching until you find a system for you that works for you, because it's absolutely possible. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you, and I will hopefully chat with you soon. Book your call with me. I can help you. I know I can. I'm living proof, and I look forward to connecting. Mwah.